Hello, my fellow citizens. It is Citizen Smith here on our Friday program. Unfortunately, this Friday, November 13th, is a bad day for everybody in America as we battle this terrible virus. And I hate to have to start the show off talking about something so terrible as this coronavirus. You know, you thought you were out of the woods, right? After the April and May surge in spring, when it first started getting its grip in our society. However, that is not the case because it's just got worse. I mean, it's really bad, people. You got to wear your masks, and I know most people are, and the majority are, but you just have to take precautions. Lockdowns are going into effect from Oregon to Massachusetts. I'm sure you will see it. Already they have curfews in many cities, like Boston, and it's getting worse. Daily cases soaring above 160,000 people just 8 days after the country had its first 100,000 case day. Oy vey. Bad. Hospitalizations for COVID set a national record Thursday for the third straight day, reaching 67,096 according to COVID Tracking Project. The virus has killed more than 1,000 Americans a day in the past week. Shocking. In Illinois, where more than 75,000 cases have emerged in the last week, the governor suggested that he could soon impose a stay-at-home order, and he scolded local officials for not enforcing mask rules and restrictions on businesses. This is on the front page today of the New York Times, covering the summary of the nation's battle with the virus. That's unbelievable. New York City mayor warns that public schools could close as early as Monday if a positivity rate hits 3%. It will. I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but it will. We can't have schools open. Come on, people. The kids can't go to school right now, not now in the middle of a major surge of this coronavirus. They do say that a bright spot for New York, only 0.17% of tests conducted in over 2,800 schools over the last month came back positive. So, that's good news. This is interesting. There are restrictions and mask mandates for all 50 states. I mean, these are the restrictions. Not every state. Oregon's got a mask mandate right now. As I host a show from Portland, Oregon, this is where we're based, TalkCast PDX. We're all about Oregon and Portland, but we like to watch the nation as well. But the mandate, I didn't realize the mandatory mask thing was in place for all these states. Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, North Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. No restrictions in Idaho. No restrictions in Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota. How can they not have restrictions? They got this incredible surge going on. Unbelievable. Other states with no restrictions, Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. And then sometimes required in Montana, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Arkansas, and Mississippi, and South Carolina, and Virginia, and New Hampshire. Come on, people, get it together. The whole damn country should be having mandatory masks. Arizona, too, no restrictions. Oh, well, they'll get there eventually. We're going to have lockdowns. It's going to have to be mandatory masks. We're going to have to go back into shutdown mode. That's the only way around the problem. We'll have a vaccine soon. I'm hopeful, as everybody is, Pfizer will be out with one by the end of the winter. I mean, by the end of December. By early next winter, everybody's getting vaccinated. I'm going to get vaccinated. I was apprehensive at first, but now I'm not. If you have a choice between getting a virus that can kill you or getting a vaccine to stop you from getting the virus, what do? Are you worried about the side effects? Don't worry. I trust our medical professionals and the companies producing these vaccines. They have enough tests going on. I'm very confident that what they're doing will work safely. So Oregon is really trying to deal with it. And the governor spoke, urging Oregonians to please listen to her warnings. Here's what she had to say.
Governor Kate Brown here. Today, Oregon is reporting 1,122 cases of COVID-19. It's the highest daily count we've ever had. But I'm here to tell you, even more Oregonians are going to become infected with COVID-19 if we do not change course right now. Our hospital beds are filling to capacity, and our doctors and nurses are working day and night. If we do not act immediately, we will soon reach a breaking point. Our communities and our economy will be hit on a scale that was unimaginable even a few short weeks ago. And unfortunately, many more Oregonians will die. We have already lost too many. We have the power to change our trajectory. I'm working with my healthcare advisors to determine what difficult steps are necessary to stop the exponential spread of COVID-19. I will continue to call on Congress to act immediately to provide aid to states so that Oregon workers can safely isolate and quarantine and that our businesses have a lifeline. And I'm asking you again today, please do your part. Wear a mask in public. Stay home when you are sick. Limit your social interactions. Oregon, we can do this. The coming weeks are going to be tough. We're going to get through this together. My promise to you is that I will never, ever stop working to keep you and your families safe. Thank you, and stay safe out there.
So that was Kate Brown, governor of Oregon's video recorded message today to the general public. Boy, you know you're in a pandemic when you're hearing things like this. Did you ever? I had no idea what a pandemic was. I spoke about it when I was living in China just before I returned to America in my Facebook page back in February when we were in lockdown in Guiyang, where I was working as a teacher. And oh my God, I was like, there's a pandemic coming, America, get ready. I didn't know really what a pandemic was like. I was experiencing it in China, getting a glimpse of it, but this is way beyond anything I could have imagined. It's terrible. It's just a horrible, horrible existence right now. But we're coming out of it. All right, we're going to get the vaccine soon. We'll turn the corner. But right now, we're at a critical stage. It is so bad. Restrictions are going into place in many states. These are some of the enforcements going on. In California, they put 11 counties under more restrictive guidelines where bars must close and indoor retail must be limited to 25% capacity, among many of the other modifications. This in the Wall Street Journal today. Utah statewide mask mandate, as I documented with all the many states that are doing it. Minnesota recently limited size of private social gatherings. Iowa, masks will be required at gatherings for more than 25 people indoors or 100 outdoors, except when people are eating or drinking. In Ohio, they've imposed stricter mask orders that could briefly close businesses that are repeat violators, put new restrictions on congregating at receptions, and may close bars, restaurants, and fitness centers in a week. North Carolina recently limited size of private social gatherings. Maryland rolled back indoor dining capacity to 50% from 75% and mandated telework for government employees. Just some of the restrictions going into place. Where is Oregon heading? In Portland, I expect a shutdown, a lockdown, till they can get things under control for a couple of weeks. We are doing better with masks than I thought. I've been hammering that point, as many people in the media have, about wearing masks. Here are some numbers of masks being worn, which surprised me because we're doing better than I thought. It was in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, and it documented that a separate survey by the Carnegie Mellon University compared to the Institute for Health Metrics Evaluation, IHMF, they come out with lower numbers of mask wearing, and the data was questioned. And then in this article, they stated that this Carnegie Mellon University survey shows that mask usage exceeded 80% in 41 of 50 U.S. states as of September 21st, and that's up to 44 states as of now. In California and the hard-hit Northeast, mask adoption exceeded 90%, the survey said. These results align with a report from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, released a few days after the IHME paper. I said IHMF, I mean IHME, which is the Institute for Health Metrics Evaluation. These results align with a report from the Center for Disease Control, as I was saying, which shows U.S. mask adoption hitting 88.7% in June. So I know that when I walk around, it looks pretty good out there for people complying when you walk into grocery stores. Now, I'm back in Massachusetts right now doing the show remotely. I'm not sure how things are looking in Portland. I don't think they're doing as well there from what my colleagues and friends tell me. But everybody, if you go out, you should be seeing like 100% of people wearing masks. I mean, I can't imagine anybody going into a store and not wearing a mask. The grocery store especially, right? Come on. Everybody's got to be wearing masks. And I wouldn't allow people to enter a store, especially a grocery store, if they aren't wearing a mask. It's just common sense. It's saving lives. Please, everybody, let's comply. Listen to Governor Brown. So when I come back in the second segment, I'd like to continue with some COVID talk, but this time it's regarding athletics in Oregon. The whole thing has been thrown out of kilter, and delays are in place for the start of seasons. Football is going to be in the spring next year, and basketball has been bumped to mid-January or second week of January to start basketball games. Will they be able to honor the schedule, or will they have to change again? What are the restrictions for kids and fans to watch the games, or can they? So I'd like to address all these questions regarding the state of sports in Oregon, and to help me answer the questions will be Peter Weber, the Executive Director of the Oregon School Activities Association, a nonprofit that assists high schools in Oregon, offering guidelines and governance on how to get things done safely. That coming up next in the second segment of Citizen Smith.
TalkCast PDX is a digital platform for local talk shows, live video streaming shows, and podcasts originating from Portland, Oregon. We are committed to a diversity of opinions and quality talk that offers something for everyone. At our brand new state-of-the-art studio, we offer a wide range of services to meet every type of broadcasting need. Yes, we will help you record and edit your podcast or program. We also help you distribute on multiple platforms, and we can also help you transcribe your show for a blog. We offer video services and promotional services, as well as ad revenue packages. Email us today for a special introductory offer. Everything you need to start your own show as soon as possible. We're here to help. Go to TalkCastPDX.com, that's TalkCastPDX.com, and send us a message today.
It's time for Citizen Smith.
Welcome back to Citizen Smith, talking about the coronavirus in the first segment, and we will continue that with coronavirus talk regarding high school sports. Peter Weber is joining me. He's the executive director of the Oregon School Activities Association. Now, this is a nonprofit that assists high schools in setting up guidelines, and they're very much active also on how sports will be conducted during this pandemic. A lot of sports have been delayed from the fall to the winter and spring of next year. So first, let me welcome you, Peter, to the Citizen Smith podcast.
Thank you very much. Glad to be with you today.
So tell me a little bit about the organization itself. How are you interacting with the schools right now with the pandemic?
So a lot of communication that we're trying to have with schools. As you mentioned, we're a nonprofit. We have 293 member high schools around the state. We actually this year have a couple of schools from Washington that have joined our association as well. And so just trying to communicate with them, the guidance coming out and directives from the governor's office and Oregon Health Authority are driving what schools are able to do in terms of athletics and activities. So making sure that our schools have the latest information with those directives, with those mandates, trying to help them decipher those and how it relates to their individual situations in their schools and school districts around the state.
It's a challenging time for everybody, especially for you.
It's definitely challenging. It's been a challenging period really since last March when all this started. We had to shut down our large school basketball tournaments, canceled our dance drill state championships, and obviously the spring season as well. So it's been challenging, certainly very challenging for our schools, the communities, and most of all the students, the impact that they've had, not only with sports and activities, but the changes just in terms of their education and schooling. So many schools in a distance learning format right now, and certainly that remains the priority, I know, at the state level, to keep people safe and to try and get kids back in school to in-person learning as soon as possible.
This wouldn't be a fun time to be in high school, seeing your once-in-a-lifetime sports opportunities disappear or be delayed. I guess it's okay because a lot of it's coming back in winter and spring of next year. But that said, will it be coming back? With the current surge, is this having you second guess how the schedule will look next in 2021?
Yeah, it is not so much second guessing, but just trying to react to what we anticipate. Could potentially be more changes or potential restrictions, as you said, based on the surge. So when we put our plan together over the summer, came out with that at the start of August to shift our calendar. Take this kind of 3-season approach starting, we're really a 4-season approach, but shift our regular fall, winter, spring to a winter, fall, spring calendar starting at the end of December, shorten the seasons, try and limit the overlap between seasons. We knew that, that was the plan, but like with everything else that's been going on the last 8 months, that's just the plan. And it would likely need to change. So, we know that there will probably be more changes coming as we move forward. And the ultimate goal, again, is to try and, when it's safe to do so, to try and provide those opportunities for kids to re-engage with sports and activities with their peers, with their coaches, and with their school communities.
So I don't understand how the schools can have practices safely. They'd have to test the kids like every day and every week for the COVID, wouldn't they?
No, to our knowledge, there's not a lot of testing going on. They're doing the temperature checks and screening questions and things like that. Most of it has been focused on being outdoors, so where they can, have that airflow, have that spacing, et cetera. And per the guidance from the governor's office and health authority, there are some things that can be done indoors. They're required to have masks, maintain distance where they can, and some of that is tied. What they're allowed to do is tied to whether they're back to school or not. We have about 60 of our 293 schools that are back either in a hybrid format or actually on site, and they're able to do a little more in terms of indoor stuff. But a lot of it this fall that people have been doing has been outdoors.
But the basketball season is supposed to kick off January 11th, is it not?
Yeah, the first contest date is set for January 11th in basketball, wrestling, and swimming. And right now, basketball and wrestling are both prohibited by the health authority and the governor's office. So you can do some non-contact, shooting drills, things like that. Again, provided that you're masked up and those types of things, but no scrimmages, no games in those two sports. So when we put that plan together back in August, the optimism was that things would change and we would be able to have some of those restrictions lifted. To this point, they haven't been. Given the latest surge, it's likely that they won't be for a while. So those are factors that we'll have to take into account when we're looking to make potential changes to schedules coming up.
So there is no basketball game scheduled as we speak for 2021.
Well, they may be scheduled, but whether they're going to be able to take place on those types of timelines is really the issue. I know schools have been doing some scheduling just to try and prepare, but they also know that something would need to change in terms of the guidance in order for that to occur.
That also pertains to the football that's scheduled for the spring?
Yeah, football is in that same boat right now with wrestling and basketball, that it's prohibited from a contact standpoint. The guidance from the state does allow for 7-on-7 football, but does not allow for full contact, protective equipment, those types of things with football.
Well, there could be a vaccine by the time January rolls around. They might be rolling out this Pfizer vaccine. That looks like it could be the possible timeline. If so, is that vaccine key to implementing a full contact schedule for 2021?
Yeah, that's a good question. We haven't really had a lot of discussions around the vaccine or the timeline because it's kind of been an unknown. Most of the information, obviously, that we're taking our cue from is coming from the governor's office and health authority, who are setting those sports guidelines for schools. So haven't had a lot of discussion around that. Ideally, obviously, the vaccine would come as soon as it's safe to have it out and get it out to as many people as they can. But I think those are conversations and discussions that will take place as we move forward.
Have you been directly involved with the process with the health authorities of the state, making your decisions and setting your guidelines for the Oregon schools?
Well, I would say we've been involved. I don't know that we've had, we've had conversations, we've had communication both with the governor's office and the Oregon Health Authority, throughout the process. I don't think it's so much that we're helping to write the policies. We do have opportunities to provide input, to provide feedback on draft policies as they've come about. So we've certainly had communication with them and felt good about being able to provide them information, as I mentioned, feedback on what's coming out, from those groups.
I guess some people might ask, well, how come the colleges are having sports? What's the difference between the college sports and the high school sports and being able to implement it?
Yeah, I think one of the big differences is the testing, to be honest with you. So I know at the Division I level, I know there's been some information out the last couple of weeks about basketball teams. Really, the only basketball teams that are participating fully at this point are the 4 Division I, universities in the state. Even the smaller colleges are not able. They're kind of in the same boat we're at with high school and youth sports, where basketball, for example, is prohibited. So, and I think that's due to their testing regimen and the protocols they have in place for testing.
Well, certainly a challenging time for everybody. Sports is not an exception to it, and you've had your hands full. So far, I guess we have to say everything's on pause, despite what you might see in a schedule on a high school's athletic department website. Pause is the word for sports right now in Oregon, correct?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
All right, Peter. Peter Weber, Executive Director, Oregon School Activities Association, joining me today. talking about the difficulties of trying to get sports back up and running in the high schools in Oregon. And this is also an issue being faced by every school district in the country right now. Oregon's just one of many. Thank you for joining me today on Citizen Smith.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And everybody have a great weekend. Get outdoors, enjoy some fresh air, put your masks on, and be safe. I'll talk to you on Monday on Citizen Smith.